Hello, good evening, and welcome to this informal session talking about the incredible programme, Peace Education and Action for Impact, that the Rotary Club of Guernsey is delighted to be funding 10 participants aged 18 to 35 here in Guernsey for this global programme that's been put together by the World Beyond War, and Phill Gittins, who is the Director of Education for World Beyond War, is with us this evening. And hopefully we're going to also be joined with some participants from the previous time this programme has run back in 2021. So what I'd like to do now, this is being recorded because we are going to be using the recording. What I'd like to do now is actually just to show you a video that we've put through on social media and various websites in Guernsey about the programme, and then we'll tell you a little bit more about it and people can ask their questions. So Phil, who is helping with our techie, can you play the video? Thanks very much, Phil. So, welcome again to everybody that's joined us. I am delighted to have this opportunity to share about this really exciting programme that's a collaboration between World Beyond War and the Rotary Action Group for Peace. Many of you will know about the Rotary Club of Guernsey because you will have seen things like the amazing Tree of Joy on the Wadebridge roundabout. You'd have seen the gifts that are given to children who may not otherwise receive them at Christmas, the food parcels and support around Christmas, the other club in Guernsey, because there's two clubs in Guernsey, Rotary Guernsey, things like the shoe boxes that have been done, Rotary Young Leader programme for young people that has happened for a couple of years now, and many, many other things. Rotary around the world does so much with our communities, and Rotary Club of Guernsey is this year celebrating 100 years of service in action. And what we want to do is to offer this incredible programme to 10 participants aged 18 to 35 here in Guernsey. We will fund it through the Rotary Club of Guernsey, so it's at no cost to any of the Guernsey participants. It is something that will run from the 6th of February through to the 11th of June. And Phil will be telling us more about that. And we've also got Alison Sutherland with us this evening, who is a member of and past chair of the Rotary Action Group for Peace globally. that program, 6th of February to the 11th of June, we will be looking for people to have a minimum time commitment of 3 hours a week to fit in with their lifestyle, their program. There are some live sessions, and it would be terrific if they could attend those live sessions, but much of the material is actually accessible in their own time. And it results in a project, a real hands-on project, and it's for the participants in the programme from Guernsey to decide what they do in Guernsey. But a really exciting element of it is the very fact that because this is a global international programme, there are country teams from other countries around the world that the participants will actually get to meet virtually, will discuss either through live sessions online or in discussion forums, etc., and really start to get the international flavour of things that are happening or are relevant, what is the causes of conflict, how to deal with conflict. But I'm going to shut up there. Phil, could I just ask you to say a few words, and if you've got anybody here that's been on the course before, if they could talk to us about it a little bit more from their perspective. But over to you, please, Phil.
Thanks, Jannine. And just let me start by saying I really loved your video. That was so impressive, and you've done the job for us in terms of explaining the what of the program, and maybe I can say something about the how and the why of the program. But before doing so, I want to do a shout out to Alison and the Rotary Action Group for Peace as well, because we've been working together on this for probably about 2 years. So Peace Education Action for Impact, as Jannine said and the video said, it was created really to address a need within not just the Rotary system, but actually the peace building field more broadly. Let's have a look at what this need is. Well, now we have more young people on the planet than ever before in the whole of history. More young people than ever before. Clearly, we need to be supporting these young people, providing them with a platform and support, mentoring, etc., so that they can step up and be peace builders. On the other side of the coin is that we are now at a 30-year high in violence around the world. So what we need to be doing is matching the both and thinking, how can we better support young people to become peace builders, instead of being seen what they tend to be seen as, victims of violence or perpetrators of violence. So this was the whole idea behind Peace Education Action for Impact, a leadership and peace building program which aims to connect and support peace builders around the world. The second part of that is that it was envisioned as a program that would bring together the Rotary community. So Rotary Action Group for Peace, Rotarians, Rotary Peace Fellows, Positive Peace Activators, Rotaract, and other change makers, bring them together to engage in reflection and action. So I loved your video that spoke about social change. There is so much research around the world that says if we really want to work for social change, we need to do two things. One, reflection, which can be thought of as education. Two, action. Education is necessary but not sufficient. Action is necessary but not sufficient. We need education to help us think more clearly and to help us be able to engage in peace building and change making more effectively, because we could be doing harm. So that's why we created Peace Education Action for Impact. As it showed in the video, we piloted it with 12 countries in 2021. It was hugely impactful, a very ambitious project to start with, but hugely impactful. The research that we did in collaboration with colleagues, doctoral researchers at Cambridge University, Columbia University in the US, a consultant, and myself, who were doctorally prepared. We did some monitoring and evaluation because it's a big thing for Rotary and a big thing for us. So we'll be on board to find out, is this program doing what we're saying it's doing? And it suggests, the research and the evidence suggests that it does. It had an impact on different levels. One, the 2021 program impacted young people in 12 countries across 4 continents, providing them with knowledge, experience, and opportunities to develop and support them as youth leaders and peace builders. but also impact for the mentors and the coaches who support the young people. We had some of them had PhDs and were very, very experienced. And they said, my gosh, I've studied peace and conflict, but I've never studied it in this way. And I learned lots of things in addition to learning from the young people, which we're going to say something about more shortly, because it's a real intergenerational work where young people and adults work together and they learn from each other. That's how it should be. We're living in a, the multi-generational world, so we should be learning together. The other impact was that Jannine spoke about, and it's on the video, impact on the communities. So young people have an opportunity to take what they've learned in part one of the program and implement peace projects in their local communities. So in 2021, projects were implemented in the 12 countries. And in fact, actually, some of them implemented more than one project. So it was about 15 youth-led peace projects as a result of the work. Another broader impact of this is impact for Rotary. Every single Rotary club and every single Rotary district around the world is looking for opportunities to better engage with young people, period. So this program, there's no better way of engaging different people in working together than get them working together on a project. So what happens in part two is that the young people with mentors, with coaches, Rotarians together, work together to design, implement, and evaluate a peace project. And it does so in a way that brings together the Rotary community, Rotarians, Rotary Peace Fellows, and Rotaract. So that was 2021. It's built as a model to go to scale moving forward. And we've got 8 countries involved this time. And as Jannine said, one of the amazing things about it is that it brings together different young people and different people from different countries to learn together and from each other. So Guernsey can go, what's happening in Haiti, which is very interesting. Not many people get the opportunities to engage with people from Haiti, from Iraq, from Bosnia, from Ethiopia, from Ghana, so that you can learn together. But the same for them in those countries. They want to know what's happening in Guernsey. So we will have opportunities within the program for you, for the young people who are fortunate to be part of this program, to meet other young people and to also present and tell the world, tell other people about Guernsey. So I think I've shared a little bit about the program. I know Alison's with us as well, but I think I will be quiet for now and listen to any questions or anything that you want to have follow up on.
Thanks very much, Phil. There's a couple of things I just want to clarify for potential participants and other people interested in this. We are referring to peace a lot here. But when we're talking about peace, meeting basic humanitarian needs, personal peace, peace means so many different things to so many different people. And that's why, for me, it's very much around social change, and whether that's something that's personal development, learning new skills, life skills, leadership skills. I just wonder if that word peace is actually meaning some people are not looking at this as being applicable to them, when actually it's applicable to everyone. So that word peace, but also the second question that you may wish to link in with it is, you've referred to youth, you've referred to young people. We are talking here of people aged 18 to 35, and I just don't know whether actually referring to the youth and the adults as part of this. We're all learning from each other. It's about collaboration. There's nothing about young people being different to adults. It's about all of us wanting to make a difference, whether it's in ourselves or others, and what people's reaction is when you refer to them as the youth and the adults, where, if that plays into the dynamic. So peace and the youth terminology, please, Phil.
Yeah, it's a good point with regards to peace, and a starting point for peace builders around the world or social change workers around the world is defining the terms. So what do we mean by peace is a great starting point, and that's one of the things that we do on the course, asking people, what does peace mean for you? So some people might say, well, peace is about inner peace for me when I feel relaxed. Other people, let's face it, will think, do you mean hippies? And things like this. They might think that. Other peace will be about, you know, we had people from South Sudan, Cameroon, and they said peace for us is the absence of war. It includes the absence of war, but not just the absence of war. So it includes and takes on more than the absence of war. So one of the things that we do on the program, and actually it's fundamental to peace building work, peace and conflict studies work, is explore what do we mean by peace. A second point to that is that the United Nations themselves has said there can be no sustainable development without peace. There can be no peace without sustainable development. So all of the world's countries, all of the member states around the world have this challenge of working towards the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 of them. If you look at each of them, one of the challenges which is getting in the way of achieving them, so for example, education, health, nutrition, and things like this, one of the challenges getting in the way of achieving that is that violence gets in the way. So if we want to make progress on all the other Sustainable Development Goals, education, and all the other 16, we need to be aware of the issue of violence. And then the opposite of violence is peace. So Sustainable Development Goal 16 is peace, justice, and peaceful institutions. So there is the connection between kind of peace and sustainable development. Hopefully I addressed that point. The second point around youth, that's a good point. Youth, again, and young people means different things to different people in different places. If you look at the United Nations definition, you've got 15 to 24. If you look in, let's say, the continent of Africa, they think of youth and young people up to 40. Some people, so my background is a youth worker, so we have these debates all the time, and actually research suggests as well that actually young people sometimes like to be recognized as young people, where on the other hand other people will say, well, do you have to, you know, because it's very close, 18 to 35. So as a way of kind of trying to be explicit, we put youth 18 to 35, mentors and adults. But you're right, it's a learning laboratory. We are all in this learning together. And one of the great things about the program, which we hope will be the case in 2023, and it was the case in 2021, is that we have people on the program with no experience of peace and conflict studies, formally studied. They've been involved with Rotary for years and done stuff around peace, but not physically, formally studied it. Right up to people who have got a master's in peace and conflict studies and one that was studying a PhD. And all of them, according to our monitoring and evaluation process, a lot suggests that they find it accessible for their different levels, and they find it really useful to learn from each other, because that's what we should be doing. If you think of school, if you think of university, we're split up, right? Okay, 9 till 10, you're going to learn about psychology and think as a psychologist. 10 till 11, you're going to think as a sociologist. 11 till 12, you're going to think as a political scientist. If we want to study the issue or make a difference to issues of social change and peace, we cannot just look at it through one lens, and we cannot just look at it as one person, as one organization, etc. So this is part of the idea of Peace Education Action for Impact, bringing different generations, bringing different organizations, bringing different cultures together to learn together about how to move towards peace and social change.
Thanks very much, Phil. We were hoping that there would be some of the people from the 2021 programme. Are there any names that you recognize?
I can't see any other names than that's in the screen, so that's the challenge that I have. Okay. Oh, wait there. Maybe I can on the side here.
Okay. There's Deniz. Shall we? Phil, could you allow Deniz in to
Deniz,
talk to us?
Deniz, yeah. Deniz,
sorry.
She's great. Yeah.
Are you happy to share your video, Deniz?
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Deniz. Thanks for being with us.
Deniz, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and the program and what you got from it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was in Turkey back then, completing my master thesis, and in the meantime working from Istanbul. and I was both part of Rotary and Rotaract, and I'm still. And now I moved to Germany for my PhD, and I'm joining the call from Berlin. And in actually 15 minutes, I have another in-person meeting. That's why you see me like this. But I'll try my best. I hope you can hear me well. So I joined the Rotary family in 2009 by establishing an Interact club, actually. Since then, yeah, I was in the family. I joined Rotaract then in another district, and it evolved. And I took some different roles in the district, and now I am part of the environmental sustainability Rotary Action Group, or ESRAC. But thanks God, there was another person in our district back then in Turkey that I had a chance to work on peace, and she helped me to involve with the project Peace Education Action for Impact. And I have to say, it totally changed my life. We always talk with Phil, like, because our friendship evolved in the same way. I have to say that, because it's not only a course, it's life learning course. So I always define like peace is kind of peace, but there are several peace meanings that we actually don't know or realize when we experience. So I also said yesterday, there was only peace for me, like kind of, happiness when person feels better first with themselves than to the others, to be kind, no racism, these kind of things. But then I realized that actually there is different levels. There are different levels of peace. We can start with like positive and negative peace, and yeah, the versions that you already know. But what I learned from the course is, okay, this is not only the peace with myself, not the peace with the other side, but also the way of reaching out to the others, because the other person doesn't understand in the way I explain. They will understand in the way that I could, touch them, or they want to understand. So I have to find that middle way to reach out to most of the people. So I try to be kind on my own way, but I have to say that the course helped me a lot to break those kind of knowledge into small pieces and think from the others' shoes. So I am very much thankful to course, to Phil, to everyone who joined the course and our country team. So that was really life learning and capacity sharing experience for me. Thank you.
That's fantastic, Deniz. Thank you so much. And it's great to hear that it's really changed your life for you. I think one of the things I want to emphasize is both in what Phil has said and what Deniz has said. There's a lot of talk about Rotary and Rotary Action Group and Rotary Fellowships and Interact, which are for young people 12 to 18, parts of Rotary. That's great. But actually what we're looking for here in Guernsey is we are looking for anybody with any experience aged 18 to 35, because we are looking for a diverse group of people who may or may not have any prior knowledge around peace, but basically they want to make a shift in their lives. They want to take an opportunity to do a program that they would never, ever have access to in any other way. The modules, Phil, I don't know if you could perhaps say a little bit about the modules in the middle part of the first section around being with yourself and with others, because I think, how to handle conflict in our lives is really, really important. Our own conflict with ourselves, but also in our families, in our workplace, it's a toolkit for life, isn't it? Can you say a little bit about that, Phil? Thank you so much, Deniz. Do stick with us if you can.
Yeah, thank you, Deniz. And Deniz is just one of the many superstars that are on the program. And one thing we really need to highlight is that this program is only successful because of the country project teams and because of the participants on the ground. Doesn't matter how good our content, our material is, it's about those that take the material and do something with it. So we always need to say from Rotary Action Group, from World Beyond War, thank you to those on the ground. Yes, you're right, Ginny. The idea of the program is that it's a bit different to other peace building programs, and I'm fortunate to have studied peace education and social change programs and university offerings all around the world to look at what's good and what's some of the things missing. And we tried to address that in Peace Education Action for Impact. And we have a model which we call the knowing, being and doing of peace building and social change, really, because it does overlap. The knowing part is important because people need to know some kind of foundational terms, some vocabulary, so they can talk about, Deniz just mentioned it there, you know, things that people will learn on the course will be what's negative and positive peace, what is direct structural and cultural violence. And I still remember to this day, when I'm in Bolivia now, by the way, in South America, when I did a program and I introduced some students to these terms, direct structural cultural violence, negative positive peace. And the next day they come back to me and they said, and I still can remember that, and I still get emotional when I think about it, they said, my gosh, I look at things different now. I look at things different and I see people in the street, you know, poverty. I didn't realize that's a form of violence. So that's the knowledge part. That's the knowledge part. And universities are pretty good at that, but they're not good at the interpersonal stuff. They're not good at what we call in modules 3 and 4, what Deniz has been speaking about, peaceful ways of being with self and peaceful ways of being with others. There's this saying, which I think has a lot of merit. Control myself and my own emotions, control my world. The better you can control yourself and manage your emotions, the more likely you are to have effective kind of relationships with other people out in the world. So talking about the tools, we look at some tools in terms of how can we better understand ourselves, which is a lifelong journey, by the way, and that will never stop. How can we better understand ourselves so that we can bring about more inner peace? Look at a global crisis right now, a global crisis which has been brought on a lot more by COVID. Well-being and mental health of young people. Massive challenge. So within modules 3 and 4, we look at some kind of tools and strategies for better managing inner conflict and outer conflict. And the program starts from this premise. Conflict is part of everyday life. Like it or not, every single person on this call, every single person on the planet will have conflict. The challenge is that not that we have conflict, the challenge is how we respond to conflict. And the problem is that too often we respond with violence or in not very effective ways. So our challenge is how can we learn tools and techniques and strategies to respond to the inevitable conflict that we're going to have in more productive ways. So this is the kind of the being part of the course. But of course, if I'm Dalai Lama and I'm sat meditating in Nepal alone, you know, thinking of inner peace, or it's necessary but not sufficient. We need to utilize some of these knowledges and our ways of being so that we can try and influence, because we can never change and we should never try changing other people. We can only provide the conditions that try and influence others. How can we try and influence others through our actions? So modules 5 and 6 look at how do you design, implement, evaluate a peace project? Now, this again, for people that are listening, are transferable skills which universities are not often very good at. And I can say this because I've taught in many universities and I've been on the receiving end as a student as well. So I have experience not just in England, in other countries as well. The ability to manage a project is a hugely important transferable skill, which is often lacking. In fact, many of the employers today, they don't just want to see what qualification have you got. They want to know, can you work in teams? Can you problem solve? Can you design a project? Can you monitor and evaluate a project? Well, many times university students, or even if you're not in university, it's not just for university students. It's we had a whole host of different young people from university and not from university could really benefit from these kind of skills, but not just learning about them. learning by doing. So they take what they've learned on modules 5 and 6 and they do it in part 2, where they have 9 weeks to do a project. So hopefully, Jannine, that kind of covers a little bit, gives a bit of a sense in terms of what do people learn and what do they do.
Yeah, very much so. The other person that is on the call that I want to ask if there's anything that they would like to add, oh, she's just turned her camera off, is Alison Sutherland, who's part of the Rotary Action Group for Peace. Alison, if you're still there, is there anything that you would like to add in from your perspective and your vast experience, life experience around social change, making a difference, and the fact that here in Guernsey we are looking for anybody, no matter what their background, who really just wants to make a shift in their life and wants to see how it fits, how Guernsey fits in with the rest of the world. Alison?
I think one of the things that I often think about is that the partnership collaboration between the RAG and Well Beyond War was an unusual one, because very much so, Phil is an expert in the form of negative peace. The RAG concentrates on positive peace. And yet we recognize that you actually need knowledge in all of that. And then the middle ground for us was also the knowledge that peace starts with ourselves. And I think that's one of the strengths of this program. Another thing that you touched on is that we're looking for anyone. It just happens to be that I am part of Rotary, you are part of Rotary, etc. And Rotary clubs actually sponsor young people, or when they've come up with the funding, or when some of them want to be mentors or coordinators. It's almost irrelevant to the fact that this program exists, this program will continue. But it's an opportunity for Rotary, because at the core of everything that Rotary does is youth. And so not only is this intergeneration in terms of what the young people get, but mentors can also gain a great deal from it, and coordinators. So a mentor can come on with little or no knowledge, and at the end of it, you would be delighted, Jannine, heading up peace for the Great Britain and Ireland, to know that somebody is more knowledgeable in the area of peace. Another strength, when we've identified teams, we have targeted almost some particular countries of poverty, countries of conflict, and we've also targeted other countries wherein ostensibly it looks as if they haven't got any problems. That could well be said of Guernsey, it would be said of the USA. But the important thing is that they come together, and that as they start sharing together, they recognize that the grass is not always greener. Yes, okay, you don't have the violence, you don't have kidnapping, you don't have this. But then again, your political system might be a bit difficult to understand, the judicial system. And so what it actually does, it allows that exchange. You mentioned about how they can come together. Something else that can happen, you can have a coordinator from one country say to a coordinator of another one, hey, how about if we have a couple of joint meetings? And they can actually schedule that one-on-one weekly meeting and have the two teams together, so they can have more of a closeness than not. So I suppose you've guessed by now that I'm sold on this program, and we look forward to this program, and we look forward to the next. We'd very much like Guernsey to be part of it. And particularly the two of the teams that come to my mind, Phil has got his own as well, but Haiti and Iraq. Think about Iraq and the fact that they're rebuilding. Haiti have a huge problem at the moment of violence and kidnapping. No one can go out of their doors. We tried to do something with them in terms of a concert. We couldn't get the orchestra together because we didn't think they'd all arrive in the same place because they'd be kidnapped. That's what they're living with on a daily basis. So it will be really exciting, I think, for youth to actually learn more about that and engage. And you mentioned about conflict, and I see conflict as a time of growth. You grow from conflict, but as Phil said, it's not the conflict, it's how you deal with it. So I don't know if that helps you, Jannine.
Thanks very much, Alison. Absolutely. And, you know, just for those that don't know what a RAG is, it is a Rotarian Action Group. All Rotarians are volunteers. We're just members of our Rotary clubs. We've all got different interests, different passions. I happen to have a passion, as does Alison, around peace building and conflict prevention, but with the widest definition of that word. And for me, it's about trying to provide the optimal environment for human potential to flourish. And here right now in Guernsey, this is an incredible opportunity. And I would really, really hope that we are going to get that full contingent of 10 participants, plus the mentors and the country coordinators. And we've got somebody on the call at the moment that's just been able to join us now, who will hopefully be one of our mentors. I'd like to stop there and just ask, has anybody got anything that they would like to ask? If they can either put their hand up or put it in Q&A if they don't want to. I know that we've got somebody here from another service organisation, which is Sir Optimists. I don't know if they want to say anything. I see that Deniz now is having to leave us. Deniz, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your input. And I do hope that perhaps the Guernsey team could reach out to you as one of the alumni from the programme in 2021. So, you know, as has been said, it's a lifelong learning, and it's a lifelong friendship as well that develops. So anybody else got anything they would like to ask, please? Okay. I'm going to suggest that anybody that wants to know any more can reach out directly to me. My email address is there. It's Rotary, so a fairly easy word there. Jannine, just make sure there's 3 N's in my Jannine, please. So it's rotaryjannine, JANNINE @icloud.com. It's a very simple process for applying, but I'd love to have a chat with you first to explain a little bit more about it. If you know about anybody that is interested in finding out more, the course does start, the programme does start on the 6th of February, runs through to the 11th of June. I know that some people have got holidays in amongst that, and I'm sure that we can all work together to make sure that you're supported around taking a break, because that's an important part of peace as well, is some mental rest time. Phil, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, just thank you for the invitation, and just to highlight what you said earlier, but it might be worth saying out loud again, that people that are doing this program, all people that are doing this program, are doing it around other things. They're doing it around the studies that they're doing, or they're doing it around the work that they're doing. The program is mostly, not all, because you said it earlier, but mostly online and asynchronous. So what we mean by that is that you can access it from wherever you are in the world. So I was on a call this morning at 7 o'clock with the Philippines, which is 12 hours difference, you know, to where I am. But when we're on the program, they can access it for whatever time they want to, etc. So if the concern and the thing that you're thinking about, oh, will I actually work in the daytime, you know, and I can't be on it, that's not a worry, because you can actually do the course and work through the material when works best for you. So yeah, don't let that put you off. So I would just say that, and I would love, and in fact I've learned a little bit from Jannine already, but I would love to hear more about, you know, what's happening in Guernsey and what can be learned from Guernsey and you know, the youth leaders there on the ground doing social change and peace building work. And think of it as a peace building program and a leadership program, because it's very much that as well, about supporting young leaders to step up, in this case to step up as peace builders, but it's transferable skills that will help them to step up in broader social change efforts after.
Absolutely. And I think it's also a very well, a useful thing to have on one's CV, because it is a certificated course. Also, you know, the personal development you get, the life skills that you get, that you will have for the rest of your life, but also from your development within your own work, within whatever it is that you are wanting to be doing, whether it's your volunteer work or a change of direction in your life. This really is an opportunity to learn something new with world-class speakers, with peers across the globe. And to actually have some time for reflection. So although we're suggesting a minimum time of 3 hours a week, but within that 3 hours a week, and certainly in part one, it's very much about reflecting on what you're learning as well, and where you're at and how it might apply to your life. And I just, if you haven't noticed, I really think this is just such an opportunity. When I was a young person, I was given an opportunity through the Lions Club, and I was already very much into volunteering. I'd been volunteering since I was 8 years old, but through that opportunity to have exposure to an international community, that changed the direction of my life. And Rotary has done that so many times for me. But it's not about having to join Rotary or become part of the Rotary family in any way. It's an opportunity that we are offering through Rotary Club of Guernsey funding for this incredible programme, Peace Education and Action for Impact, put together by World Beyond War and the Rotary Action Group for Peace. So thank you very much for being here. It would be absolutely terrific sorry, I'm just looking at something in the chat box that my daughter, Claire, who is unfortunately lives in the UK now, so she's not applicable for being able to do this course, but she would love to, and she's been very much helping me with it. She's put that what Deniz has written in the chat, and you haven't all seen this, is that World Beyond War provides a huge opportunity to have deeper insight on peace that every school needs to include for their syllabus. Well, isn't that something? That would be fantastic. And maybe that's something else we can think to offer in Guernsey. Perhaps it might be a project that the Guernsey contingent decide they want to introduce somehow within our local community. But also remember, the Guernsey contingent don't have to do something locally. They may choose to do something that has international impact. So, and it could be about peace directly, so bullying or cybercrime or whatever else is about your boat. But it could also be around art or music or the environment. There's no limitations here. It's applying that learning and doing something practical to make a difference. So I am going to leave it there. Thank you, Alison. Yes,
Janine,
Alison.
So far, you've mentioned about personal development relating to volunteering and jobs. I want to share a funny with you. Both Phil and I, we meet every week. Both of us have said in our own personal lives, we've needed to fall back on the knowledge that we've gained from the program and from other areas of peace. It's an amazing, as you grow in the knowledge of peace in its fullness, it actually affects your personal relationships. And so many of you will be considering at some point, maybe choosing a life partner or whatever. Some of these skills will come in real useful.
That's terrific. Absolutely it is. And I think that's something that we could all do with, and as Phil said fairly early on, conflict is within every one of us. We are all experiencing conflict in one way or another every single day of our lives, and how we deal with it, how we cope with it as individuals can have a huge impact, not just on ourselves, but on the people around us, whether that's our families, our workplace, or whatever. So please share about this program. Let's get those applications in so that we can have a full contingent starting on the 6th of February through to the 11th of June. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Phil. To Deniz, who's just left us, and the other people that are with us this evening. I know that we've got one of the people that has already signed up for the programme with us this evening, so I hope that has made you feel really excited about what's to come. Thank you and good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.